the people that you surround yourself with have such an influence over your thought patterns. The conversations that you overhear throughout the day, the things that people say to you has such an impact on the tone of your thoughts. And so if this is a very negative, low tone, it's going to permeate into your thoughts. And if you're around people who are energetic and positive, and it's this high energy, high tone conversations, then that too is going to impact you. Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how do we think more positively. Now, most of us know that negative thoughts really just lead to negative outcomes in our life, right? We have enough self-awareness to be like, hey, I want to be a more positive person. And there's this idea that like negative energy is kind of self-perpetuating, just like positive energy is. And so why would we want to live in a world and to have a life where there's just so much darkness and negativity when we could just as easily think positively and have a brighter world? And so this topic comes up a lot. And so I thought, let's really look into 7 ways that we can start to think more positively. Before we get into the 7 ways, I want to give you this idea of negative thoughts like a controlled substance. And I realized for myself, because thinking negatively used to be something that really, really impacted my life. And I would, it was kind of part of my anxiety, but just having negative thoughts and then always looking at this bad thing might happen or that bad thing might happen, right? And getting in this spiral of negativity. And I got to this place where I started to almost be almost like a whack-a-mole with negative thoughts and having this feeling of like, no, I can't let this negative thought, almost like it's this radioactive substance that you want to keep as far away from you as possible. And so just giving yourself this new way of looking at negativity, just as it's not even an option for you, right? Like there's nothing good that's going to come from allowing yourself to sort of sit in this stew of negativity. And so that means being really careful when even one negative thought pops into your head. If your mind is this beautiful garden that you cultivate, and a negative thought is this weed that's just growing, and if you allow that weed to grow, it is going to multiply so fast that it's going to get out of control and it's going to really choke out the good and beautiful thoughts that you have in your mind. So here are 7 things that we can do to really start to think more positively and to get all of these negative thoughts, pull all these weeds out of our beautiful minds. So the first thing is really what we call bottom-up regulation, right? And it's starting with finding expansion in your body. And so in previous episodes, we've talked about this, finding something positive or a resourcing object in your environment. For me, it's this beautiful salt lamp. Noticing what you like about it, noticing how you enjoy it, and then feeling that expansion of enjoyment in your body. And so we're helping our body to feel positive and to get into this relaxed green state. And this will allow our thoughts to also follow suit and be more positive. So find a resourcing object in your environment. Notice the good emotions you have about this thing, and then feel into your body and sense, how do I feel this enjoyment in my body? Okay. The second thing that we're going to do to think more positively is top down. So now we're really going to monitor and edit our thoughts. And this is where, maybe that word picture of your mind being this garden can be helpful. And a negative thought is like this weed that's coming up that if you don't pull it and get it out of there, it's going to take over. Almost like creating this alarm bell in your head for negativity. And it's funny because after kind of years of cultivating this, and then also being around my husband, who is the same way, like he doesn't entertain negative thoughts, it almost becomes offensive to me when I hear people around me speaking very negatively or expecting negative outcomes. When you get so used to like keeping negative thoughts out of your head, like this radioactive substance, you get sensitive to it and you notice like, oh, I got to get away from this. So monitoring and editing your thoughts, really finding alternative thoughts, right? It's so natural to have a worry or like a this might happen to pop up in your head, or just to assume the worst about someone or a situation. And so the easiest way to kind of get that negative thought to sort of loosen its grip on you is to come up with an alternate thought. And so a simple thing, let's say your thought is, I'm going to lose my job. And maybe this is something you've been worried about, right? Sure, you might lose your job, but then the alternate thought could be, but I might not lose my job, right? Just giving yourself both options instead of focusing in on that negative one. Whenever a negative thought pops up, you're going to notice it, and then you're going to come up with an alternate thought. Because at the end of the day, we don't know. Until it happens, we really don't know if things are going to turn out negatively or positively. And we have a big impact on how things ultimately turn out. So if we're looking and moving towards the positive, there's a greater chance that life is going to move that way as well. Okay, the third thing we can do to think more positively is to come up with either a resourcing statement or just a mantra of positivity, right? And so these can be so simple, but what I love about coming up with this resourcing statement is what we know about the brain is that we create these neural pathways. And the more times you think something, the more automatic it becomes, and the more it will just pop into your head. And so my resourcing statement is, I'm okay. It's very simple. I'm okay. And so when I need it, it pops up into my head. And it's something that when I notice a negative thought about how things are going to go or about my ability to handle the situation, the thought, I'm okay, pops into my head. And so coming up with a positive resourcing statement or just a positive mantra, maybe it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day, right? Or I remember this. My husband used to say this one. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself, right? It's something that makes you laugh and it's kind of silly when we think about it, but we're just creating these neural pathways in our brain of positivity, right? And so this can take hold because we want to think positively just as a default. Well, how do we do that? We practice it. And when we practice it, it becomes habit. And, these neural pathways that were just fresh little paths become superhighways. And these are automatic thoughts. All right, the fourth way to think more positively on a daily basis is to create a gratitude practice. We've done whole episodes on gratitude in the past because opening your heart to gratitude and being thankful and, just noticing all the good in your life and all that others do for you and all that you appreciate about life, this is the opposite of negativity. Gratitude is like the antidote to being this negative person. And so what can you do? What can we do to have a gratitude practice that we just do on a regular basis? And it can be something as simple as when you wake up in the morning, opening up the note section of your phone or a journal and just putting down one grateful thought that popped into your head, right? And then again, we're training our brain. We're training our brain instead of waking up and thinking, oh my gosh, I have all this I have to do. I got to go to work. I got to do this. I got to do that, right? And starting this negative train of thought of overwhelm and anxiety, starting our day with, I need to find one thing that I'm really grateful for. And what's funny about that is it's never just one thing, right? When you start to put your mind on the topic of gratitude, you'll think of that one thing, But now you've got the juices going in that direction of gratitude and like, oh, right? All right, the fifth thing we can do to regularly have positive thoughts is to choose your people wisely. And this is such an important one, right? The people that you surround yourself with have such an influence over your thought patterns. The conversations that you overhear throughout the day, the things that people say to you, just the general attitude and the tone of the conversations that you're involved with has such an impact on the tone of your thoughts. And so if this is a very negative, low tone, it's going to permeate into your thoughts. And if you're around people who are energetic and positive, and it's this high energy, high tone conversations, then that too is going to impact you. And so, I've mentioned how my husband is also very positive focused, and this really helped both of us when we were kind of changing our thought patterns from how we grew up to like, wait, I want to change the script. I want to have a life and I want to live in a world where I see the positive and I see the opportunity, right? And the potential in something rather than I see the problem, I see the issue, I see what we don't have, right? It's two different ways of looking at it. But if you are, connected with people who are also committed to seeing the glass as half full, just like you are, it's going to make it so much easier for you to stay positive. It's almost like we create this culture of the people that we are involved with. And if it's a culture of positivity, then that's going to really impact your regular thought patterns. And if, unfortunately, so often the culture around us is just negative, and whether that be, from listening to the news and then having coworkers who are negative and then having these sort of more negative conversations with your family, it spirals. And so paying attention to who you are around and maybe having a conversation with the people closest to you, like, hey guys, let's be more positive. Like, here are all the reasons that if we all collectively were more positive, like life would be better for us. So let's hold each other accountable. And if I say something negative, call me out on it. Like, let me know, like, hey, that was pretty negative. Do you think maybe there's another alternative way you could have said that, or way we could look at this, way we could approach this to where it's not coming from this defeated standpoint, but really coming from a place of possibility? All right, the sixth thing that we can do to really turn our thoughts around and make them more positive and less negative is to really choose your content wisely. Choose the content that you listen to, that you watch, that you allow into your ears and into your eyes. Watch out for what you're letting in, and they say like garbage in, garbage out, but that really is the truth. One of the most negative sources of content is the regular news. When you turn that on and, realize that there always has to be a tragedy or something horrible happening for people to watch. Like we know this, but then we'll still watch it, right? But knowing there's so many things that happen in the world today. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are tragic, right? But if we watch the news, all we're going to get is the negative stuff. And, there's other content that we could be watching, listening to, reading that's negative and has this negative outlook that's going to permeate into our thoughts. So just choosing wisely, choosing the content that you take in wisely. All right, the seventh way that we can really help ourselves to be more positive people and to have more positive thought patterns is to really create and find positive spaces, and even, you might say, sanctuaries. So, where we live is really, if you think about it, like a sanctuary of, our life. And so creating order and creating, bringing elements of beauty and things that you enjoy and having just a sense of calm or a sense of enjoyment with different spaces in your life. And you think about, well, where do I spend a lot of my time? And, one of them's probably at work. And so whatever workspace you have, if you can do what you can to bring some positivity to that space and bringing order and organization to reduce chaos is one of the easiest things that we can do. When we think about, most of us spend a lot of time in our cars, keeping your car orderly and clean and smelling good and having these different things around you to help you to feel more positive. All right, friends, there you have it. 7 things that you can do in your life to really think more positively, to have a more positive outlook, which is going to lead to more positive outcomes, right? Having positive energy, looking towards the opportunities in front of us versus just seeing the problem. It is a huge step towards really developing into a higher version of yourself where you can have more enjoyment, more purpose and meaning in life, and more connection with others. I hope you enjoyed this content. I look forward to coming back next week with another message.